Thank you very much. At this time, I'm going to call to order the meeting of the Board of Governors. And I'm so delighted that we've had the opportunity to convene here at the University of West Florida. We have been just treated royally by President Benson. We're so happy that she invited us to come, and certainly we look forward to visiting each university. It takes a while for us to get around. So it's been a long time since we've had the opportunity to visit the University of West Florida. And I'm going to ask Dr. Benz if you would come and extend a welcome to us and introduce your board chair or any of the board members you may have present.
Thank you very much. Would you like me to go to the podium?
That'd be great.
Be
Thank
happy
you.
to. Well, on behalf of nearly 12,000 students here at the University of West Florida, 2,600 faculty and staff, and our Board of Trustees, I am very pleased to welcome you to the University of West Florida for your meeting today and yesterday. I'd like to recognize our trustees that we have in the room. We have our Chairman of the Board of Trustees, General Chuck Horner. We have our Vice Chair, Mr. Louis Baer, and we have member Jeannie Godwin here. And they are here to support and to see the Board of Governors and all of our presidents here in our house. These are exciting times for the University of West Florida. I'd like to just give you sort of 4 little bullets of the things that we're moving towards. We are moving towards a more traditional campus here in Pensacola with taking advantage of opportunities such as building new residence halls. We just opened one this year. It is 100% full. We're breaking ground in March for a second one for at least 250 beds. We're also breaking ground in March on a new College of Business building, and that is, we're also opening a health and wellness center in March. I think it's April now. That is built with CITF funds. Students wanted that. They were able to pay for it. Also, we are wildly successful in Division II athletics. We are the only one of our institutions that are in Division II, and we're winners. We are moving forward with it. We're ramping up an athletic visioning process, and we better look out. We're going to do a lot of things differently, but we're winning already in soccer, volleyball, and tennis, and they don't like to see us coming in those sports. We also are, of course, meeting the needs of our region for education. As you know, as you came here, we're a long way from Tallahassee. We're 175 miles, and we only have 1 million people between here and the Apalachicola River. So we're relatively underpopulated, and we have a large region, but we've been providing high-quality education and mainly applied research for 47 years. Now, one of the things to remind you, we've talked about it a bit this year, is that our university was ground zero for the oil spill. It was on our beach. It's still on our beach. It's in our water, and I don't know when they'll get it out of the water. But one of the things that we have done is to respond in much like the mentality and approach of first responders. With a burning building, our people ran towards the fire, and everyone else ran away from it, not knowing what the hell to do, what to do. And it was a terrible time for us this year in Northwest Florida. All of you, many of your institutions help, and I thank you very much for your help doing things we couldn't do and providing assistance. We answered the call to action, and we are still out there today. They're taking samples and not wanting to hear what we have to say for the most part. They want the oil to be gone, and it's not. Another thing, I'm glad that we had the opportunity to announce the formation of the Office of Economic and Development and Engagement yesterday here across the hall. And what that really does is answers the call from the legislature, the chancellor, and you, the Board of Governors, to begin to look at our institutions to make them more relevant and more directly applicable to our economic recovery and the economic growth and development in our state. And while we don't do a lot of business formation and spin-offs, patents, we do some bench research. But what we really have, we have great strengths in our business, area of business. And so we've taken the Haas Center for Business Research and our Florida Small Business Development Center network joined them, created some synergy, and basically turned them loose to help our citizens in the region and the state. I also want to tell you that we're going to have a nice lunch at the end of the meeting. For those of you that have to scoot, we've got a few box lunches, but mostly I'm very glad to have you here. It's been way too long. Pensacola, like several of our universities, is in a corner of our state. So to come here, you need to come and be invited and be on your way to here. But I thank you for coming. We've rolled out our red carpet, and we're pleased to have you. So welcome to the University of West Florida.
Thank you so much, Dr. Benz. I know that several of our presidents may have other members of their board who are also present with them, and I want to give them an opportunity to recognize any other board members that you may have in the audience with you. Dr. Hitt.
I'm pleased to say that our chairman, Rick Walsh, is with us today.
Rick, thanks so much. Any other members?
Madam Chair, we have the president of our Student Government Association and a member of our Board of Trustees, Kim Diaz.
Welcome. Thank you very much. Any other members of the board or board members? We want to, I'm sorry.
I saw some more students that came in. Are there any other student body people from the other campuses around back there? Yeah.
Governor Franklin, can you identify any of your colleagues, please?
Yeah, there are also some members of the University of West Florida Student Government. And also Kim's vice president is here, as well as the student body vice president at University of West Florida is here as well. I see her in the background. And the director of government relations is here. And also the student body president at University of West Florida just walked in, Joshua Finley.
Great.
Josh Finley.
And I believe that's all that I see.
Great. Thank you very much, and thank you so much for the presidents who've joined us. We appreciate your interaction, your support, and certainly we appreciate the board members who are here with us as well. As a board, we're doing what we can to have as much interaction as we can with the individual board trusts, the members of the individual boards at the local universities, and we think that by interacting together, we can go a long way with advancing the system. So just know we appreciate the time you've taken to spend here with us today. On yesterday, we had the pleasure of also having several other elected officials from this area, and they happened to come in just as we were concluding our meeting on yesterday, so I would like to just note for the record, and Dr. Benz, make sure that I've gotten everybody. I recall seeing Senator Gates, yes. Representative Gates, Representative Broxton, and Representative Ingram are the ones that I recall seeing on yesterday. Is that correct?
Senator Gates also made it to the reception last night,
right.
As well as his son, Representative Matt Gates.
Right. And I just want to please extend our thanks to them for coming out and joining us. It's great for us to have an opportunity to meet with the elected officials in the region, in addition to the ones who were here at the committee meeting earlier. So thank you all very much. I think that Dottie alluded to the fact that during my chair's report today that I would take a moment to highlight some of the positive gains and strides that we've made as a system that were probably more brought to bear by the fact that we actually pulled together our annual report, and then to comment on some of the items that we're going to work on, I guess, or challenges that we may foresee within the next year. You can note that I have a 2-year term and I'm into the second year, and that it ends in December of this year. And after that would have been my 9th year working within the state university system. And it has been a very interesting time to serve, and it would be a wonderful time to say farewell. And thank you very much for the opportunity to have this great responsibility. I can tell you that it really is something to volunteer, participate like this. But it's certainly, I can't think of a better way to give back to the state of Florida. But it really is in order to do this right and to honor our commitment as constitutional officers. It does take a lot of time, and I certainly enjoy the fact that I get to spend most of that time with folks like yourselves. But in a year marked with significant challenges from natural and environmental disasters to economic constraints and record unemployment, our state universities have been hard at work at seeking solutions and delivering results. Today I'm going to offer you just a very quick glimpse, I promise, of some of the successes and challenges that we faced in the past year and provide some sense of what lies ahead for 2011. You got the slides for Randy? You got that? Great. The report I'm about to give reflects the hard work and dedication of our trustees, our Board of Governors, our faculty members, our students, all those, our board staff, all the folks who've come together to ensure that we strive for excellence within the state university system. So during the next few minutes, I want to touch on 5 topic areas in order to provide you with a sense of what we have accomplished this year and offer you a glimpse of where we are headed in the future. If we're going to create a robust, knowledge-based economy in Florida, we must have well-educated citizens who are working in diverse fields from science, engineering, and medicine to education and social sciences, the arts, and so much more. The fall 2009 enrollment in the system exceeded 312,000. Based on this metric, Florida now has the 4th largest public university enrollment in the country. When those numbers are finalized for fall 2010, system enrollment should be near 320,000, up almost 3% from 2009. To put these things into a national perspective, 5 of our institutions are among the 20 largest public universities in the country. This data begins to highlight some of the capacity issues some of our universities are beginning to face as we update our strategic plan this year. We must develop sustainable growth plans for the system and individual institutions if we are to attain the optimal balance between providing access and maintaining outstanding quality. Now let's look at some of the key markers that are important if we're going to create the talent our state needs. In 09-10, the state university system awarded more than 53,000 baccalaureate and 20,000 graduate degrees to university students who will collectively add an estimated $750 million annually to Florida's economy. More than 1/3 of the baccalaureate degrees and nearly half of the graduate degrees were awarded in areas that are most closely related to the state's existing and emerging workforce needs, such as those degrees in STEM and health fields. Importantly, our graduation rates at the undergraduate level also continue to improve. According to the most recent national data, our system's 6-year graduation rate for full-time, first-time and college students is higher than the national average for public universities. It is also important to note that when compared to groups of public institutions in our states, the university system of Florida ranks 10th in the nation for its overall graduation rate and 5th in the nation for the graduation rate for Black non-Hispanic students and 6th in its graduation rate for Hispanic students. While these numbers are certainly not great enough to brag about, we also know there is more work, while these numbers we can certainly brag about, we also know there is a lot more work to do to develop our students and to complete their degrees in a timely manner. One of the most efficient ways to increase the number of graduates is to focus on helping even more enrolled students succeed and graduate. To further advance the state's knowledge economy, in January of last year, the board announced a New Florida Initiative, which is a collaborative effort alongside business and government to deliver the economy, talent, and innovations that Florida must have to be globally competitive. And while this effort will require additional investment from the state, our board is committed to maintaining one of the nation's most robust accountability systems to ensure that return on our investment. I think it is important to note that the New Florida Initiative represents a major cultural shift in how we are doing business as we unite our universities in collaborative teaching, allocate resources to advance Florida's economic transformation, expect results that are clearly articulated to the Board of Governors prior to allocation, and ensure accountability for the investment of state funds. We must continue to demonstrate the importance of the state university system in the creation of a 21st century knowledge-based economy for Florida and work with our governmental and business partners to garner support for the New Florida Initiative. It is important to remember that university faculty not only share knowledge through world-class teaching, they actually create the knowledge that is shaping society locally, nationally, and globally. Research has a critical role in building our knowledge economy. In the R&D arena, the most recent numbers for state university system consist of $1.1 billion in research grants and awards and at $1.62 billion in expenditures. That's a 32% increase in just 5 years. In fact, the state university system research expenditures have been consistently ranked 4th in the nation among public universities, among public institutions. And here's just one example of the incredible return on investment our universities can provide. Since their inception, our 11 centers of excellence have received a total state investment of $84.5 million and have already generated $275 million in competitive grants and private sector support. That is a 323% return on investment. Next slide, please. We have so much to be proud of in our system. Our institutions are filled with talented students, faculty, and staff, and I encourage each of you to read the key university achievements, which is that section for each institution in this year's annual report. A few examples I'd like to note is that the U.S. Department of Energy officially designated FAU Center for Ocean Energy Technology as a national center focused on developing ways to tap the power of oceans as a source of clean, affordable energy. UCF was ranked third in the nation by the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers for the strength and impact of their patents. And our students are making a name for themselves as well. For an example, here at the University of West Florida, MBA student Aaron Hall was a first place winner and grand champion of global business strategy in the Business Strategy International competition. The State University System of Florida has an important broad-based role in moving the state forward, yet is also uniquely poised to respond to targeted specific challenges that arise from time to time. For example, we were very active in the devastation over in Haiti, as well as another example, as mentioned by Dr. Bentz, was the way we came together during the oil spill here in the Gulf of Mexico. Chancellor Brogan called on the faculty of our universities to be a part of a statewide oil spill academic task force in order to utilize the incredible knowledge and research already conducted by scholars and scientists in the Gulf, both before and after the incident. Every day, Florida's public universities transform knowledge into action in meaningful ways. Next slide. This year, the Board of Governors makes significant advancements in its oversight of the state university system as it continues to evolve and grow. As you know, Chancellor Brogan and I signed a governance agreement with the legislature and the governor, clarifying roles and responsibilities relative to the oversight of the system. Our relationship with the legislature has steadily improved. Further, we worked closely with the legislature to draft and ultimately pass statutory revisions that codify the tenets of the agreement. Included in those statutory changes was the creation of the Higher Education Coordinating Council, which is comprised of the CEOs of Florida's educational delivery systems, both public and private, and representatives of the business community appointed by the Senate and House Speaker. We look forward to Frank providing regular reports from the activities of the council. In terms of system leadership, last year we confirmed 2 new presidents, FSU's Dr. Barron and FAU's Dr. Saunders. We made 23 appointments to university boards of trustees and welcomed 7 new board of governors, new members of the board of governors. I'm getting through this as soon as I can, I promise, guys. One more slide. Florida's public universities have among the lowest tuition in the nation, ranking number 48 in the state undergraduate tuition. For years, let me make sure I say that. Florida public universities have among the lowest tuition in the nation, ranking number 48 for in-state undergraduate tuition. For years, the Florida legislature has had sole authority to establish the base tuition rate for our universities until 2009, when the legislature granted the Board of Governors authority to approve a tuition differential fee, which a university can charge over and above the base tuition set by the legislature. In addition to differential fee, the Board of Governors also has the authority to establish new fees or increase to certain statutorily capped fees, or to increases to certain statutorily capped fees as requested by local boards of trustees. On an annual basis, we will carefully weigh all fee requests in the context of each university's local market conditions and student demographic. This allows us to ensure that we maintain access to higher education while providing the resources needed to evaluate the quality of our institutions. This year, the legislature also gave the Board of Governors authority to allow universities to request flexible tuition policies, like block tuition, and to establish market tuition rates for graduate level online programs that are globally competitive. The board spent the summer and fall of 2010 developing regulations to implement this new authority, and will consider university proposals this year. It is no secret the state's budget has been in dire straits for 4 years. Even now, the legislature is looking at the possibility of a $3.5 billion shortfall for the next fiscal year. State universities continue to respond to these challenges with focused efforts to find institutional and system-wide efficiencies. Working with the board office, our university provosts have been working to determine if there are better ways to organize and coordinate academic program delivery across the system. This team has been reviewing data on academic degree program delivery, participation, and productivity at all levels, and will be presenting their findings and recommendations to the Board of Governors in the coming months. During the past year alone, the universities closed 26 more institutes and centers and put an additional 11 in inactive status. And in 2007, the State University system has closed or suspended more than 100 institutes and centers, closed or suspended dozens of full degree programs, and numerous other tracks within degree programs, and merged some departments and colleges. All of these efforts have enabled our universities to respond to significant budget cuts while maintaining the integrity of the university experience for our students. In addition, we've also really focused on the value of e-learning and tried to emphasize the value of using that as a tool to advance and increase our graduation rates and advance our system. Last year, institutions began work on a multi-year university work plans that are built around each university's unique personality and strengths. You recall that our presidents and board chairs presented these work plans at our meeting this past summer. Each university has outlined a vision for the next 5 to 10 years, including more immediate university priorities and plans for achieving these priorities. The Board of Governors has turned its focus toward how each institution will contribute to the accomplishment of system-level goals within the context of institutional work plans. Because coordination with all three components is critical, the State University System 2011-12 legislative budget requests have been aligned with the goals and priorities outlined in the university work plans. I apologize for that, and I hope I didn't put too many of you asleep as I took some effort to try to pull together the information that we have found by putting together our annual report. And the only reason I say that I apologize is certainly not for the successes or for the items that I feel that we accomplished, but not often do I give a dissertation like that and take up so much of your time by providing a speech. I prefer a whole lot more interaction. But I hope that you understand that was our way of making sure that you were able to identify some of the good things that we've tried to do as a Board of Governors and work together to advance our system. So thank you so much for bearing with me. In closing, I'd like to say, in my mind, what really lies ahead for the system and the types of things that I think that you can look forward to in 2011, because I am clear that you have one of the most dedicated boards of governors that must be available to any other system across the country. I promise you that we will have a continued spirit of cooperation. I promise you that we will have a quest for excellence and that we will do all that we can to improve quality and access. I promise that through strategic and thoughtful planning, we will encourage better use of limited resources. I understand, my fellow board members understand that we do not have a one-size-fits-all system, and that we have 11 unique universities, and that we will work with each of you to help you reach the goals that you have for your particular university, and work within those goals that we have for our system to ensure that we fulfill our constitutional responsibility. See, I think it is our job to ensure that we deliver quality and excellence despite the fact we have limited resources. So with that, I want to just say thank you very much for listening. Thank you again, Dottie, for pulling this together. And I promise that I will not take up that much time ever again in delivering my opening remarks.
You're
Chancellor
taking me out
Brogan.
of Frank's time, right?
Yeah, in fact, I promise I took some of Frank's time by doing that, okay?
Yes, I have a similar presentation. I just want to, first of all, thank President Bentz and all the great people at the University of West Florida. They really have done a remarkable job, as our universities continue to do, in putting all of this together for us. Often you spend time talking about the food and the dinners, but just the coordination and the logistics of hosting these significant meetings is very complex and complicated, and people who already have full-time jobs doing other things are often taken from those to put on this effort. But it really goes a long way in helping to make sure that the setting is comfortable, efficient, and that this board and all of us can do our job in an environment that's conducive to productivity. And we thank you, President Bentz, and your board for hosting us here in beautiful West Florida. I didn't have the chance to join you yesterday, Madam President, in your press conference because our schedule didn't jive with the press. But in opening the Office of Economic Development and seeing it headed by a renowned economist, it is not only going to be efficient, but I think a major statement by the University of West Florida and then through you to the whole state university system of how we feel about what we can bring to the table as a system in helping Northwest Florida be able to do the job that it wants to do of better balancing its economic development portfolio for the future. The oil spill, I think, created some problems, no doubt. I think it also shed greater light on some of the issues that already existed and has provided a renewed vigor in the great Northwest to examine the economic development portfolio and see what opportunities there are for advancing the cause of greater economic development in the future. So we thank you for that, and I'm sorry I didn't join you, but hope you know that that was not a slight of what was an important announcement by the University of West Florida. President Bentz also mentioned something, and that was athletic programs. We talk about all various and sundry programs, academic and otherwise, at these meetings, and I only wanted to spend 1 minute talking about football, and not because I like football at the collegiate level, but we had, I think, what was a historic, and maybe our presidents can verify that, based on the fact that all but one of our university Division I football programs were in bowl games this year, and all won. It was a remarkably successful year. Now, why is that in itself important? Well, it speaks for itself. But I look at it through the eyes of a president, and I can assure you I watched every one of those bowl games, and more than once had occasion to see the university not only through the face mask of a football helmet, but through the 60-second spots that are afforded when you are provided the chance to be a bowl participant. And the amazing thing about all those 60-second spots, which typically show more than once during the football game about our universities, they don't say anything about football during those 60-second spots. Football speaks for itself. It's front and center, and that's why literally millions of people around the country watch those bowl games to see our universities take front and center stage. But at the same time, it is a remarkable opportunity to introduce or reintroduce our universities to the United States through those 60-second spots that typically and almost exclusively give a great occasion to the academic program and the student life programs at our universities. So when you watch the University of Florida play in a bowl game and you watch their 60-second spot, that is an unparalleled opportunity for education and recruitment and the chance to say to America, yes, we play great football at the University of South Florida, but this is what we do at the University of South Florida in our classrooms and in our laboratories and in our communities that we touch. And so congratulations on the football side. It was a remarkably successful year, bowl or no bowls. But again, it was a great opportunity this year in an unparalleled way to show the country and most importantly, all Floridians, what our university systems do every day on and off the playing field. I also wanted to talk just for a moment about the fact that Chair Parker and I had the opportunity to visit the University of South Florida for a day, took the tour. We're doing more and more of those kinds of visits as time will allow and schedule will allow. But while there, I had a chance to talk to the folks associated with the Florida Institute of Oceanography. We lovingly refer to that as regularly as the FIO. As you know, the FIO took front and center stage themselves in the aftermath of the oil spill, and the oil spill continues to be a major foci for that group. But at the end of the day, as we all recognize there during that meeting, the future of the FIO far transcends the oil spill. The opportunity to be recognized, and I really believe we have that capability, as the finest, best organized enterprise on all things ocean is in our future. And it is because I am convinced not only the individual work that our public and private institutions do, there are 20 affiliated with FIO, but also the coordinated effort that the FIO provides for the state of Florida. We've been greatly enhanced in terms of the public relations end of this, if you will, because of the oil spill. But once you get beyond that, There is another unique opportunity to better organize our academic enterprise, our research and development enterprise on all things marine research and ocean engineering and ocean science. And it was great to have the opportunity to associate with those folks, thank them for their work, but also continue to extol the future opportunities that will exist for that effort. And I thank President Genshaft, as always, and certainly Provost Wilcox. As you all know, University of South Florida is the administrative home of the FIO, and they continue to be a great supporter of that effort, and it benefits all of us in the state of Florida. Last couple of comments. The nominating committee, I'm not sure folks really understand how seriously this board takes the nomination and ultimately the process of filling the positions of the Board of Trustee members in our 11 state universities. All of the quick discussions, seemingly quick, that took place yesterday really didn't do justice to the hundreds and hundreds of hours that go into the preparation of the pulling together of application and then the actual interview of those who would fill the very important slots that you have. I think the fact that you have been given back some incredibly talented people and the fact that you have seen added to your complement of Board of Trustee members some very talented people is testament of just how important that process is to this Board of Governors in their relationship with our local boards of trustees. Now we need to continue that effort with the Office of the Governor as our new governor. Begins the weighty process of filling huge numbers of appointed positions all over the state of Florida. In our opinion, none more important than those Board of Trustee slots. And we want to dovetail our efforts with Governor Scott's office to make sure that we are looking at issues of geography and diversity and background to assure that his appointments complement what this board just did so that we can have the very best people on your boards as is humanly possible, and we are committed to that end. I will end by saying that we have begun our round of visits with members of the legislature, and like our presidents and others, have stood before a good many committees already. In the early days of the committee process, we discussed with Governor Colson taking the lead on the legislative committee, the Board of Governors' desire to now begin their round of meetings with very important and influential members of the House and Senate, the governor's office, to try to make certain that we're all on the same page. We know this. This is going to be a very difficult year economically, a $3.5 billion deficit, the end of federal stimulus money and the hole that that is going to leave all over the state of Florida, not just in our state universities. It's going to be a tough one. We also know that, President Master and I had this conversation as a sidebar earlier today, there's conversations about restructuring of the Florida retirement and pension system, a look at the insurance system that our employees enjoy, and this is not just in Florida. We understand this is going on all over the country. We just want to make sure that we are deeply involved in these conversations and make sure that to the greatest degree possible, we are working to create a better state university system. We understand the reality of the economy, but we also have to understand and help others understand the impact that we provide today on the state university system will have long-lasting implications on this system going forward. And we're going to continue to work together with your legislative folks and you as presidents, Board of Trustee members, our Board of Governors, to assure that the message of the state university system is consistent and well applied to the process in a way that we want to be most helpful in that regard. So I will end where I started and say thank you again to President Bentz, all the great people at the University of West Florida. We will not meet face-to-face again as a Board of Governors and State University System until March, when we will be back in Tallahassee, that being the legislative process. We're going to be hosted there by Florida State University, and we have a conference call in between in the month of February to do more business of the Board of Governors. But thank everybody for all the work they've put into it. Madam Chair, turn it back over to you.
Thank you very much, Chancellor Brogan. The next item on our agenda is actually a confirmation of Dr. Benz as president. What I would like to first do is to call on General Horner, if you would come And General Horner, forgive me that I did not give you an opportunity to bring greetings first from your as board chair when we heard from Dr. Benz. So I'd like to give you an opportunity to do that. And then as well, I'm calling on you to go into the confirmation request for Dr. Benz. So thank you very much, General Horner.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Governors, Chancellor,
Sorry.
I just second Judy Benz's welcome remarks. She takes to a microphone like a duck takes to water. I hope that you come away from this visit to the University of West Florida knowing how unique we are. We've identified who we are, and that took 3 years, and it required great leadership on the part of our faculty, our staff, even our students were involved, as well as the Board of Trustees. And I think we've done a good job. Now we have to take into account the area, needs, and we're doing that. For example, we were deficient in our science, technology, engineering, mathematics curriculum, and yet this is a high-tech region. This is where all the fancy weapons that amazed the United States during the Gulf War were incubated. I guess you could call us Silicon Bayou. And with the help of the University of Florida, we've undertaken a program. So we're not jumping in, starting fresh. What we're doing is we're building on the shoulders of others. We have a uniqueness in that the military is very, very influential in this area. Over a third of our students are somehow related to the military. And that's good, and it has some drawbacks. The good thing about it is the military students make superb students. They're focused, they know what they want, they study hard, and they're curve raisers. Also the good news is they come with money because the GI Bills allow for not only the individual military member, but now the military member can give that benefit to their children or their spouses. So that helps us. The bad news is that they're on the move all the time, going to Afghanistan, going to Iraq, and so they start a program. They need some way to continue the program, and we worked very hard at that, and we talked a lot about distance learning here. And I can tell you that our distance learning programs are looked at by the entire nation. And we have programs that not only have very high retention rates, 2 or 3 times the completion rates of other distance learning programs, but also they have built-in feedback mechanisms that allow us to assure that the distance learning outcome is equal whether it's taken on some device in Iraq or taken in a classroom in Pensacola. And so we're very proud of that. We're also working very hard at cooperation with the local colleges, and that again takes leadership on the part of the president and our faculty and our board of trustees. With regard to the budgets, for us it's kind of like a football team, and we have a practice field. It's called Opal, Hugo, Ivan, Katrina. And in battle, in olden times in battle, when you lost the battle, you had to retreat. But before you retreated, you triaged the wounded. And the wounded that were not going to survive or not going to be able to keep up with the retreating army, we would shoot them. And it's called shooting the wounded. And we've had to do that year after year after year at the University of West Florida. And it's very painful, but at least we know that if we want to start something new, we got to shoot a wounded person. We got to create room. Kind of gruesome, isn't it? The strategic planning, we have developed a strategic plan. I'm not happy with it. I'm sure you're not happy with it. But it's a start, and it's a living document, and we're going to work on it every year, and it's going to guide our budget decisions. It's going to shape the decisions we make about this institution and its programs. And we're committed to that. Again, leadership. Quality in education is a goal of both the Board of Governors and our Board of Trustees. And yet, our metrics tend to measure activity and not quality. And we know whatever you measure is going to improve. So we're working very, very hard, and it's a very difficult process because of the culture. Sometimes when I come on campus, I feel like I'm in a medieval European city. We need to develop accurate reflections. Right now, we measure quality anecdotally or by subjective analysis. And that's valid, but nonetheless, we need good measures for quality, and that's going to require leadership. And we've had leadership in that area. It takes courage. This summer, we formed an ad hoc committee to look at presidential evaluation and compensation. They advised the president and adjusted her scorecard. She has a very difficult scorecard, and we hold her to it. She is tough enough to handle us, and she does very well. We also looked at the length of her term and decided in December 10th, a full board of trustees to extend her contract for 5 years. Now, Dr. Judy Benz has provided leadership at this institution for 30 years. As a chairman, she created a world-class archaeologist department known nationwide. She has a passion. The students know of her passion. Believe me, the Board of Trustees know of her passion, and the faculty know of her passion. She has developed into a world-class leader. When she first took the job, there were a few rough edges, and she rose to the occasion every time because she's selfless. Ego is not a problem in her case, and she is willing to do anything for our university. And it was interesting that the young reporter that wrote about her being extended 5 years said in their article, she has compassion and passion for the students that cannot be purchased, and that is Judy Benz. So as a Board of Trustees, we request that your confirmation of her to be our president.
Thank you very much. Your comments are just fabulous. And certainly we echo the sentiments about how wonderful Judy Benz is and the contributions that she's made at West Florida, as well as being a part of the system. We enjoy working with her. We think that she provides us very valuable information and a very valuable perspective. So I think that it's appropriate at this time to entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
See, we're all fighting over who gets
Right. So, Mikey, whoever
See,
you
I
start.
promised Judy it at least wouldn't die for lack of a second, so I kept my word. I can't guarantee where we go from here, but...
So we have a motion, we have a second. Any unrest, any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition by same sign? Judy, I think you're stuck with West Florida, and we're happy to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I really am a walk-on to this university. There really was no job. I came on as a contract archaeologist on soft money. They really didn't particularly want archaeology at the University of West Florida, but I did have a great contract with good overhead. But I came here as my last stop on a tour of archaeological, of institutions where I would feel comfort. My goal, which my colleagues laughed at me for, was to build a nationally ranked archaeology program that people would want to come because not just of the kind of archaeology that we do, but why we do it and how we do it. We did it as a team. We did it because of the love of archaeology and the fascination that people have with it. Archaeologists have the special privilege of looking back into the past at things people never thought that you would find. Your coffee cup, your shoe, your pen, your wedding ring. All of these things are left behind. Everything is left behind. And as I began to share this with the people in Northwest Florida and Pensacola, I realized that I had a real urge to try to make Northwest Florida a better place. My brother Alan and I independently came upon this philosophy. While we could have gone to many places as we began to get successful, we wanted to stay here to make our home area better. And I have had a wonderful, wonderful career. It was the best thing I ever did, was to come to the University of West Florida. But then, a couple of years ago, this opportunity came to be the interim president. And I was below a dean. My dean is here in the audience, Jane Hallinan, called me into her office and asked me if I would be the interim president when President Kavanaugh left relatively suddenly. And I thought she had lost her mind. I said, I don't know how to be president. I'm in the prime of my time in my own field. Why would I want to do that? And we began to have a discussion of a dean to a chair about service. And I began to realize that for the last 15 years prior to that, the University of West Florida had been very helpful to me. And had it not existed and I not been here, I would not be the person I am today. And I decided that perhaps that I could serve the University of West Florida. And I had never really thought about that because mostly down in the ranks, people are loyal to their discipline as opposed to their institution. Not completely, but it is important. But I had turned that corner. But coming from being a chair to being a president, 3% of the sitting presidents today in our country have made that big leap. And I needed a lot of help. And I said yes, and you as a Board of Governors said, okay, I'll never forget the day down at the University of Central Florida where, John, I thought I was as out of place as you could possibly get. And I saw all of you presidents walk in, and I thought, oh my God. And then there was John Kavanaugh's name at the table, and then mine, and I thought, oh. But I want to thank all of you presidents for helping me. I have asked many very naive questions, and you have helped me to become a president in the last 2.5 years. I've had interactions with all of you, and you have helped me be the kind of president I am today. It has been a huge mountain to climb, but it has been the most exciting time I think I have ever had, and it has been quite a ride. I am ready for the next 5 years. My board has helped me. They have held my hand. My vice presidents have. The staff that's in this office has really been the reason that I have been able to do this. But I will tell you one thing. The reason I became president, the reason I want to be the president of our university and for you, the Board of Governors, is to make this a better university, to make it bigger, to make it stronger, to make it more relevant to our lives. I thank you for your trust in me, Board of Governors, for your confidence in me, for being able to letting me hold this flag for 5 years. It is going to be fun. The University of West Florida is going to be different. We got a lot of things cooking, and they're all for the betterment of this institution, our state university system in our state. And I thank you very, very much for this incredible opportunity in my life. Thank you.
Madam President, your board chair was right that you have you're in love with the mic. That was fabulous. At this time, I entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the November 4, I guess the foundation minutes of November 4, 2010. Can I do all at once? I guess I can. I can? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. And I also would like a motion to approve the minutes of the November 4, 2010 and December 2nd, 2010 conference call board meetings and the minutes of the Board of Governors Foundation held November 4, 20. I did that already.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you very much. At this point, I will move to item 5 on our agenda, And I'll first start with Governor Beard from the Budget and Finance Committee.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Can you hear me? Is it on?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. We had a very interesting and informative meeting yesterday relating most of the day related to a financial workshop that was well presented, very informative to the board, and I think all the board members, including myself, came away with the idea that if you want to come to a university, there is a financial way somewhere in the system. You've just got to be persistent. And so I was real appreciative of the meeting and how the presentations and how well that went. I have only one action item to speak to, but I do want to say one other thing. President Barron, we appreciate your comments yesterday, particularly the idea that the universities need to have a better sense of the longer-term commitment of this board to tuition permanence, so to speak. The regulation that we're going to deal with today is Regulation 7.001. It relates to tuition and fees. It was dealt with in November. It was approved at that time. We've had no comments as it relates to it. So what I want to do is have a board, could I have a motion?
Is there a second?
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much, Governor Beard. I'll now call on Governor Tripp for the report from the Audit and Compliance Committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Excuse me 1 second, Governor Tripp. I'm sorry, Governor Perez?
I just wanted to take a moment. That was a long process to get to that regulation. I just wanted to thank staff and the task force and the working group that got us to that point. That was a lengthy process.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Governor Perez, for all of your hard work with pulling together the financial aid workshop, as well as, like I said, the background information for the market rate tuition issue. And Governor Beard, thank you for filling in as vice chair whenever Governor Perez was suddenly taken, I guess, suddenly under the weather. I apologize. Now, Governor Tripp.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Finance and Compliance Committee, Audit and Compliance Committee found itself trying to streamline the way we handle complaints that come to the Board of Governors. Thankfully, since the last meeting, we really haven't had any. Things must be doing well. But many times, complaints come, we're required to look at what that complaint is. We have set a goal that we would not get involved unless we found that the university was unable or unwilling to deal with the complaint. That is the role that we see ourselves in. And so that we could move this on without always having to bring any kind of complaint to the board for full action, we determined that we would give authority to the chair on the recommendation of the chancellor and the auditor, the board auditor on no action. And so based upon that, the committee voted out a motion, and now I bring it to the full board, and that is I move that the Board of Governors delegate to the Audit Committee Chair the authority to make the final determination and accept the Inspector General's report of preliminary inquiry in those instances where the Inspector General recommends that no further board action is warranted. In all other situations, the Audit Committee will review the results of the Inspector General's preliminary inquiry at its next meeting, and as a result, routine matters will be handled in a timely manner. The Inspector General will brief the Audit Committee Chair on a regular basis and brief Audit Committee members as needed. So I move the adoption.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Governor Tripp, you have anything else?
Nothing further, thank you.
Great, thank you very much. We move on to Governor Colson.
I'm stepping in for Governor Edwards, who had to step out on facilities, and we have two action items. I think all the governors were present for them. They've been before the board before. One is I move adoption of the resolution approving the issuance of a fixed-rate revenue bonds by the Division of Bond Finance on behalf of the University of Florida in an amount not to exceed $33 million for the purpose of financing a portion of a translational research facility on the main campus of the University of Florida.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, Governor Colson.
The second bond-related matter is I move adoption of a resolution approving the issuance of a fixed-rate tax-exempt revenue bonds by the Florida Gulf Coast University Financing Corporation in an amount not to exceed $30 million for the purpose of financing a student residence facility on the main campus of Florida Gulf Coast University.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Governor Colson.
Madam Chair, we also were presented and approved in the Facilities Committee the 2011-2012 State University System Fixed Capital Outlay Legislative Budget Request. We were provided two lists of our PICO. One is for $110 million, which we believe is the projected amount that will be available, as well as a more expanded list if more monies were to become available. So anyway, I move approval of the 2011-2012 legislative budget request.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Great. Thank you very much. Governor Colson.
I think that's all I have.
Great. Thank you very much. Governor Duncan.
Yes. Good afternoon. We have several action items today. The first is a PhD in biochemistry by FIU. This is an item that was discussed at detail at a prior meeting, and has come before us for final approval. Just a quick reminder, this is a unique program that will be jointly run by 3 different units at the university: the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry, the Department of Biological Sciences, and their College of Medicine. We hope great things for this collaboration and this model within their institution, and I would move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Governor Duncan.
Yes. Our second item is the approval of a PhD in philosophy or public health at the University of Florida. This was an item we discussed this morning. It is moving forward instead of having the delay, because we actually had started to take this up at our prior meeting and had to delay it, and it impacts their recruitment schedule if we postpone it till the next meeting. But I think everybody's pretty up to speed on all the issues, so I would move approval.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Governor Duncan.
The next item is the approve a public notice of intent to amend Board of Governors Regulation 7.005 regarding residency for tuition purposes, and I would move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Governor
And
Duncan.
our last item, I believe, is the approval of the public notice of intent to amend the Board of Governors Regulation 8.011 regarding new academic program authorizations, and I would move its approval.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. And the only other thing I would just say is a reminder to look for more information on the distance learning workshop in our March meeting.
Great. Anything else? I think next up we have Governor Rood.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Strategic Planning Committee met this morning, and after a thorough discussion, approved 2 items. The first item I'd like to move for approval is the establishment of a center, Crestview, Florida, for FAMU.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Governor Rood.
Okay, the second item is, that we'd like to move for approval is the 2010 State University System Annual Report.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Governor Rood? Is that it?
That's it.
All right. Governor Colson.
Legislative Committee is going to be active the next few weeks, a couple months. We hope to be in Tallahassee with several of us in a week from sometime, not next week, the week after, and then we hope to have people in Tallahassee on a regular basis throughout session.
Anything else?
No, sir. No, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
At any point, are we, not until the regular session, we'd wait? Are we going to start doing conference calls, or are you thinking it's just kind of let the staff know when we're going to be in town at this point? We've done in the past some updates just kind of on what's happening, and I just,
Probably it's a good idea.
okay,
I'll work with Rick to coordinate that.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Governor Colson? Governor Husseini.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to return the compliment from Chancellor Brogan. Chancellor, your staff did an outstanding job of helping us put the applications together, and because it took so long for us to get as many other applications that we want, the time was short, but Mikey and the rest of your staff did an outstanding job of helping us. So with that, thank you, Madam Chair. The Trustee Nominating Committee has been working to fill 23 vacancies on the University Board of Trustees for terms which ended on January 6, 2011. Over the past several months, we have been accepting applications for these vacancies. We received more than 100 applications. Yesterday afternoon, the committee met and we reviewed the applicants for 8 of our universities. We heard from committee members about the applicants they had interviewed and their recommendations. In some instances, the team had identified 3 candidates to fill the 2 available vacancies, and the committee voted on the top 2 candidates to recommend to this board. At the committee meeting, I reviewed the process we had followed. I won't repeat that explanation, but I will say the committee members had been thoughtful and deliberative in considering the appointments of university trustees. We will have 3 more universities to complete, and we will continue our work until we have recommended trustees for all the university boards. As we did at the committee meeting, I will recommend that the board consider the trustees to recommend 1 university at a time. These appointments, let me just go back, and when we did our interviews, one of the things that came to our attention was lack of understanding of the difference between Board of Trustees, Board of Governors, and so forth. So we have decided that upon approval of these members, we will ask them, and it's contingent of their approval, to come to an orientation to Board of Governors and attend one of the meetings of Board of Governors. So with that, for Florida State University, I move that the board approve Edward Bear and Joe Camps to serve as trustees for terms ending January 6, 2016.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Governor Husseini.
For Florida A&M University, I move that the board approve Richard Dent and Dr. Spurgeon McWilliams and Carl White to serve as trustees for terms ending January 6, 2016.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Governor Husseini.
For the University of South Florida, I move that the board approve Stephanie Gofford and Dr. Louis Seiko to serve as trustees for term ending January 6, 2016.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Governor Husseini.
For Florida Atlantic University, I move that the board approve Robert Steele and Paul Tanner to serve as trustees for terms ending January 6, 2016.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Governor Husseini.
For Florida International University, I move that the board approve Sidney Kahn and Albert Murray to serve as trustees for terms ending January 6, 2016.
Second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Governor Husseini.
for the University of North Florida, I move that the board approve Joanne Newton to serve as trustees for term ending January 6, 2016.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Governor Hussaini.
For Florida Gulf Coast University, I move that the board approve Joseph Catty and Robert A. Wells to serve as trustees for term ending January 6, 2016.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Governor Hussaini.
For New College of Florida, I move that the board approve Audrey Coleman and Mary Ruse to serve as trustees for terms ending January 6, 2016.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Governor Hussaini.
One last one, we're done with the university. I ask that our staff to work with the university staff to set the meeting with these people that now are appointed. These names will go to Senate for the approval and confirmation. And with that, I want to thank all of our committee members. And Madam Chair, back to you.
Thank you very much, Governor Hussaini and the members of the committee for your dedication. There were a lot of telephone interviews, a lot of meetings to get to this point, and just appreciate the extra time and dedication. With that, I'm at a point of making concluding remarks. One thing I want to note is that the Budget Committee Workshop is scheduled for February 10th at the University of Central Florida. At that point, we'll review all university fee proposals. I know that we're not all on the Budget Committee, and it really is, I guess, a requirement or responsibility for the Budget Committee to attend. I'd ask as many of our members who are available to please attend the February 10th meeting. That meeting will be followed by a conference call board meeting on February 17th, 2011 to consider the recommendations from the Budget Committee workshop. If there are any action items to be handled prior to the March board meeting and the next regular board meeting, I will certainly handle those via conference call as well. As it stands at this point, our next board meeting will be held March 23rd to 24th at FSU in Tallahassee, and it's set there because it is during the next legislative session. Are there any other issues or items that you would ask that we consider at this time? I guess as a housekeeping matter, there's lunch, right? I think Judy told us there's lunch somewhere around here.
For those who need to travel, there are box lunches, and there's a buffet lunch set out right side the doors.
Great. Again, thank you all so much for attending. Safe travels back home. Meeting is adjourned.